Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about a film that came out quite a few years ago. It wasn't until just recently where I got around to seeing it. It's something that I found in a $5 bin at a Walmart a while back. And it's one of those movies too where, I've had it in my possession for a while, but I just didn't get around to seeing it until recently. And now with, COVID-19 and all that other stuff kind of keeping me quarantined and all that, and with me kind of tracking down older titles I can watch until movie theaters open again, I decided to give the film Earth to Echo a view. That's the film I'm reviewing for you today. And like I said, this is a film that came out a while ago. I even remember when it came out in theaters. I remember the marketing behind it. It was like this big summer movie at the time and stuff. For whatever reason, I just didn't get around to seeing it until just now. So let's talk about Earth to Echo. In this film, it's kind of inspired, you can tell, by both E.T. and The Goonies, because it's about a group of kids that have this weird cell phone interference with something going on in their area. It seems to be some type of a map that keeps showing up on their smartphone screens. And so they basically do like a Yahoo search, see if anybody in the area is kind of having this issue and what they think it might mean. And there's this huge construction thing going on in the area to begin with. So obviously people are trying to move out of their houses and all this other stuff so that this supposedly new highway can get built. And so basically, one person on the search claims that it's basically a map of, I think, of a Nevada desert somewhere nearby where they're living. And so basically, they also find out that not only is this a map, but it's also a kind of an image showing where the source of the interference is happening from. So all these kids decide to get up on their bikes one night, take some flashlights, take some cameras, take all the stuff that this film's already happening with to begin with. A lot of it is filmed on like a little camera that a video camera that one of the kids has in their possession for a YouTube channel that he runs. So basically, one night they go out there. They don't really find a lot at first. They find this little robot piece thing on the ground covered in the sand. And obviously, there's government officials everywhere, kind of like in the opening of E.T., for those who remember the people with the flashlights in the beginning of that movie. And so they take it with them right away because they're kind of being followed at this point. And they really kind of can't figure it out what this thing is at first. And it's not until somebody makes a little beep and bloop sound and they recover another type of machine part that it seems to be attracted to, where it forms this little robot that they later nickname Echo. And basically, they find out through Echo, they're able to kind of communicate him with simple yes or no questions that Echo is able to respond yes or no to. But other than that, he really can't speak any kind of human language of any kind. So throughout the movie, they have to figure out over the course of the next several hours how are they going to get Echo off of Earth? How can they safely kind of get him to this thing that seems to be his ship to leave Earth? And how are they going to remain safe on top of all these government officials and people who seem to be after them and people who seem to be disguised as construction crew people, but are really kind of these people looking for this robot and things like that. And all this happens over the course of the film Earth to Echo. So overall, guys, I thought this film was all right. There is a side of me that kind of does realize that I can kind of see why I ignored this film as long as I have. It has been 6 years since the theatrical release of this film. Believe it or not, Dave Green. Yep, Dave Green, who directed this movie. I did see another film of his. I saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows a couple years back, the sequel to the reboot of Ninja Turtles from 2013 or 14, I believe. So he did make the sequel to that. And I really liked that movie. I thought it was very fun, very much in the spirit of the old 80s Ninja Turtles cartoon show and things like that. So going into this film, I was kind of hoping for another Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, kind of a fun little throwback movie to something that we once had a long time ago. For the most part, I got that. For the better parts of the film, I think we kind of got that again based off of Dave Green's other work. But I guess for me personally, there's just a lot of things that bog this film down from being a great film. So let's talk about some positives and negatives of what I loved about Earth to Echo, but why it's not necessarily a great film in my eyes. So for my positives and negatives of Earth to Echo, I thought the child actors they recruited for this movie were absolutely fantastic. Every child actor in this was absolutely great. I believe this group of kids was about four, yeah, I think there's about four of them. Four kids that find out about this Echo robot. All of them are very good, whether it was the host of this YouTube channel or his friends or this girl that one of them's kind of attracted to that joins them on this adventure and things like that. All of them are very good. It really felt like they've been acting for numerous years, and clearly since they were young kids at the time, this is something that they were probably very well trained to do in preparation for this movie. So I thought the child acting in this film was very, very good. So if any of them choose to pursue acting careers again later in their life or have over the past couple of years, I think they should go for it. They were absolutely fantastic in this movie. I also like that Earth to Echo is a film that has an indie film approach with blockbuster special effects. Normally, when you make a film, you make one or the other. You normally go out to make a blockbuster with huge special effects, or you go out to make an indie film that's smaller and doesn't need as much special effects and really kind of relies on the performances and things like that. Earth to Echo tries to balance both. You can definitely tell Dave Green didn't direct a lot of things before this because there is a lot of indie film things about it, but there's also a lot of blockbuster things about it. Rather, it is the special effects or the CGI or Echo responding to something and making something high tech happen in the room and things like that. So there's a lot of cool things in this film, like the way it's approached as an indie film, but it has some blockbuster elements to it as well to make sure that it's not just this small little film, that it feels like something that really belongs in the summertime the way it did back in 2014. And overall, I do like this little Echo robot that they find in the desert. He really kind of has a lot of cool abilities. They do a lot of cute things with him to kind of give him arms and legs at one point. There really is a lot of cute things about this Echo character that really makes me happy to see this little cute little robot make his way into this film with CGI and special effects and just fun things that these kids are able to do with him throughout this movie. There's also a lot of cool bike shots. The film is one of those things where they're trying to make it look like this kid is documenting their whole adventure on YouTube for his YouTube channel. And so there's cool things they do, like mounting his camera onto a bike, or when they're running around somewhere or escaping from somebody, they hand off the camera to somebody to make it feel like you're on this adventure with them and things like that. So specifically the bike shots, whenever they did that when they were riding along and searching for Echo, some of those are some of the coolest shots in the movie. And overall, even though the film is criticized very heavily on Rotten Tomatoes for this, I think the film benefits from being inspired from E.T. and Goonies. I think it takes inspiration from it, but it doesn't steal from it like people claimed it to be. So it is something about Earth to Echo that I am probably going to defend it a little bit more on. Is it's definitely inspired from the Goonies and E.T., but I feel like it does its own thing. It does its own story, though there's things about it that remind you of E.T. and remind you of the Goonies. For the most part, this is inspired from those films. It doesn't really steal from it. It's not copyright infringement in my eyes or anything, but I definitely think it's inspired from it, and it's more than fine to be inspired from a film that you really, really enjoy and want to make your own take on that story. I think that's more than fine as long as you have the right approach to it. For my negatives of Earth to Echo, though, the second half of this film really is very messy. It is one of those films where once the ball gets rolling and they find Echo and they really got to find his ship so he can get back home and things like that, the second half really is very messy, whether it's somebody getting kidnapped or Echo being not is given as many cool things to do as he was right away early on in the movie. There's just tons of things about the second half that I really did not like at all. There's just a lot of very messy things, messy conclusions to things. I will get into a second here about this really bad resolution they have in this movie. So the second half of the film is really where the film kind of got bogged down to me. This film is also only 91 minutes, so it's not like it's a super long film to get through. So as a result, you can definitely tell it's a short film because they just don't have a lot of things to work off of at a certain point in time in this movie. So unfortunately, the second half of the film is very messy. And then going off of what I was just saying, the end resolution of this film is extremely lazy. E.T. is probably one of the most emotional endings to a film you'll ever see. Earth to Echo is anything but. It's really it really doesn't equal out to the journey that you just went on. It really doesn't have anything emotionally attached to it. I really felt like these kids really didn't feel anything emotionally attached to Echo by the end of the story, just based on how it played out. It really just felt very lazy, and you can just kind of just tell they were just jumping the gun to whatever kind of ending they needed to wrap the story up. Whether it was a budget thing or a script thing, I really don't know, but the ending resolution of this film felt extremely lazy to me. I also thought even though the child actors were great in this film, unfortunately there was a lot of really bad adult actors in this movie. So I don't know how they lucked out with that, with having amazing child actors but terrible adult actors. It's a combination of either they were really not given a lot to do, and when they are in the story, it really is very lazy and bad. I don't know if some of them are just bad working with kids or something, but some of the adult actors in this film, specifically some of the construction crew people who were like disguised as government agents and stuff, some of them are really bad here. So I thought some of the acting on their end was really not very good in this. And even though some might like this, I kind of didn't. But I thought the whole one night event thing that the story uses as a setting was kind of stupid. I really preferred like what E.T. did or what the Goonies did, and make it take place over the course of maybe a couple of days, or have Echo come back to them to their house and kind of have some chaos happen there and something like that. I think that really would have helped the movie. The fact that they try to go over the course of like a 24-hour period with this, I thought was a little lazy and kind of rushed in that sense. So I thought the whole one night event thing really kind of took me out of the experience of the movie. There's also scenes here where how you get the footage for the story to work doesn't make any sense. So, like, for example, the kid that has the camera to film this for his YouTube channel, if a government official takes that away from him, how come we're still seeing things happen? How come we're allowed to see him take this camera around still and film all this? Does he borrow somebody else's smartphone? Does he borrow somebody else's camera? Did he get the camera back? Can you at least tell us how we got the camera back on screen and things like that? So there's a lot of scenes here when he gets his camera taken away. How we're experiencing the story from there on out doesn't make any sense at all. So there's just a lot of scenes like that where it's cool if you want to go the route of an indie film where he's filming it the whole time, but when he gets his camera taken away, how do we tell the rest of the story? So there's just a lot of scenes here where I felt like they didn't want to go the extra effort to tell us why the story is still being told. But overall, I'll give Earth to Echo a 7.5 out of 10. I think there's really good things about it. There's great child actors. I hope all of them pursue acting careers. I love the whole indie film approach with blockbuster special effects. Echo is a very cute character to watch here. The bike shots are very cool, and I love the inspiration they took from both E.T. and the Goonies. But unfortunately, the second half is very messy. The resolution of the film is very bad and lazy. Some of the adult actors are very cringy to watch and very bad. The one night event thing I really couldn't get into very much, and there's just a lot of scenes where it didn't make any sense as to how they had a camera to even film some of that stuff to begin with. So 7.5 out of 10. I think it's okay. I think if you find this in like a $3 or $4 bin, or even like a $5 bin like I did a while back, it's not a bad film to watch. Don't expect anything amazing though. 7.5 out of 10 for me. Earth to Echo is an okay film.